Dow Jonez.
Yeah, what's going on, family? How you doing, bro?
What was the best moment of the past year?
Man, I don't even know, man. That's a really good question to get me thinking because I really don't know. If I had to like just really narrow it down, it's probably, it's not just a moment. I had my son over the summer and just had a lot of conversations with him that let me know he's starting to come into like a more serious way of thinking through his life. You know what I'm saying? He's only 14, but I've been waiting on him to come into this place where he's like, you know, starting to contemplate what it's going to mean for him to be moving into late teens and then getting out into adulthood. And so he started asking me questions that I didn't anticipate he was going to start to ask this fast. You know what I mean? So one of those questions he asked me, he was like, hey man, look, you know, you've been on my head about this code thing. He was like, one of the things that like I really find important is I want to eat good. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to eat what I want to eat when I want to eat it. I don't want to have no kind of inhibiting factors in my, and he said it like this. He's like, I don't want nothing to keep me from being able to do that. He was like, I know this code thing is good money, but like, give me some idea of like, what can I make per day? I was like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? That's right up my alley. So I hit Glassdoor.com and kind of looked up some salaries for entry level software engineers and showed him that, broke it down. And we had a pretty productive conversation about that. It was just a number of those types of things that happened over the course of this year that make me know, you know, my efforts haven't been in vain with that kid. So.
That's beautiful. That's amazing. That's like a serious ass conversation to have with a kid.
I mean, you got kids? Yeah, man. How old? Okay.
9 and 5. We're still a few years.
Yeah, man. So with me and my son, I only have the one, and I always took kids seriously, man. Like that was, you know, if I was gonna have some kids, it was gonna be when I was, you know, decently ready, and I was gonna do right by them, make sure I give them something meaningful and be a positive impact on their life. You know, I guess this is what every parent wants to do, man. But like, paramount for me in that is that I don't lie to him, and that means that most conversations I'm having with him have to be serious and they have to be extremely nuanced, and I got to take a real slow approach to how I'm talking to him about stuff, because you got to find a way to give him an age appropriate understanding of what we're talking about so that you don't have to lie to him. You know what I'm saying? And that's just progressed. And so now it's at this point now where with him being 14, you know, he's starting to be able to back and forth with me in a way that's more akin to an adult man conversation. You get what I'm saying? And so it's, you know, I'm just enjoying that. That's cool, especially since, you know, he lives with his mother most of the time. Yep.
It has a huge impact. I'm pretty sure it's like very close to what I get you were doing with the sidechain coding group as well. Like, would you say is it the same intention?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, man. I suppose so. Where code is concerned, it's just, you know, it's the way I came out of, you know, financial destitution. You know what I mean? Like, and I did so without a degree, and I did so on a you know, kind of abstract path. Like today, more and more people are coming into software without degrees and whatnot. But when I was doing it, it didn't look possible. You know what I'm saying? Not to me anyway, because I didn't know no one who's in the industry. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have any touch points whatsoever. So when I picked it up out of utilitarianism. Like I was just trying to, make this website for the record. Have this animation, this banner for the show. You know what I'm saying? And then that shit had impact in ways that was making my music, become more amplified. And so anyway, I'm taking a long route, but I don't know any other way to inspire people to come out of, low skilled labor work and into something that's going to make them some money. And if, I care about the people I care about. So when I'm next to you and I see that you had that opportunity or that you need it to come out of, making whatever they trying to pay you to work in this call center, then I'm going to offer you code because I feel like I'm being paid to do what my mind is doing all day, any damn way. And, I get a little bit more fulfillment than I did when I was at Citigroup, collecting on Home Depot credit cards. You know what I mean? Like getting cussed out on a day-to-day basis, that type of shit. So, I'm going fishing for folks who trying to go fishing.
Mm-hmm. And you got any a general goal that you have attached to this, or is it just something that you share?
I mean, if I have to just baseline it, man, like and I don't know if I've said this formally in any of the sessions, but I'm Pan-African in terms of my thought process economically and almost spiritually. It's starting to get to that place for me. And very simply, I'm pretty sure you've become familiar with the term over the years, but like it just basically means that Black folks have a singular goal around the world, and it's to overthrow oppression. There's a couple of pillars for me. It's Pan-Africanism, it's hip hop, and then I was brought up Christian. And so for me, I'm just trying to combine everything I know and touch the people who are closest to that and find a way to offer what I can to that energy. You know what I mean? Just to contribute, do something meaningful with my time. You know what I'm saying? Like I know I can't change the world or no shit like that, but I can, I can impact the people that surround me. So I'm attempting to do that makes sense.
It's interesting that, it makes a lot of sense. And specifically, like what I love about your approach is it's very utilitarian. Like you give the tools. It's an interesting distinction. But it's not the same as like the YouTube videos to spend actual time talking to people and be in this real-time interaction, to have meaningful conversations and to kind of steer or let people find a way that it works for them. And I don't know, like I didn't have a chance yet to peep in one of those sessions. How do you guys work? Do you work on something together, or do you discuss?
Yeah, so we've done a number of different approaches. We've done some of that. And I'll start at the beginning. At the very beginning, it was just people was curious. They literally like, hey man, what do y'all do? You know what I mean? And so me, Polly, and Jay, shout out to the homies. They popped in a room in a Zoom with me one night, and it was me. I believe it was Matt, RTO. It might have been JJ, maybe one or two other guys, but those are the staples in the group. And first, we just started out answering questions, and then in those next couple meetings, we pointed out actually, I did the same thing I did with my son. I went to Glassdoor and showed him what it looked like. You know what I mean, to work in the industry. This is, a software engineer. I went to Glassdoor.com, and then I went to Salaries, and then I went to St. Louis, which is where Matt is, and showed him what the salaries are for someone who walks off the street into a front-end engineer role at Joe Blow Corporation. And he saw the salaries, and it was motivating to him. Same thing with RTO. We looked at Oakland and the Bay, and we looked at, what it was going to pay to do this work out there. And then I just expressed to him, I'm like, dude, y'all are already doing engineering. Your brain is already working modularly. You know what I'm saying? Your brain is already working abstractly in ways that you don't yet understand can work to the benefit of software engineering, but the shit that keeps you sitting in front of that computer fucking with a compressor for 2 hours trying to get the right tone is same thing that's going to make you effective at software. Next couple of sessions, we went through some resources, and so I introduced them to Code Academy and Free Code Camp, and some of the other ones that's out there. And then the whole time the approach has been, y'all go learn on your own and in your own time, and we're gonna meet once a week, and then me, Polly, and Jay are gonna answer questions to just hold your hands through the process, just to get you past the hump, to keep you motivated, so that you know what I'm saying, just slam the damn keyboard down one day and decide that it's over. After we got a few months into that cycle, they was passing modules and getting through chapter work and things like that. And then we got to a certain point about 10 months in where people started, more people started joining. Matt brought some people out of his, he joined the code camp. You know what I mean? RTO was doing his Code Academy thing. And then they started bringing other people. So we brought this other dude in named, I think his name is Dale. I'm tripping right now. Dale that, I'm bugging. And then another young lady joined from Matt's code camp. And we started at that point to do some project work, but we had people who wanted to do different stuff. So we decided to write they had a application that he wanted to write called Soul 45s, which is essentially just, it's like a private SoundCloud for Sidechain. And so we started to write that application, and we got through a pretty decent chunk of a basic CRUD for an API. And there was some exploration going on for an iOS app during that period. We did that for about 5-6 weeks, something like that. And then in that period, we worked like an actual Scrum team. And the whole focus was to, when we come together for these meetings, we actually doubled. So instead of just Tuesday, we did Tuesday and Saturday for a few hours on Saturday. And we would do working sessions and do Scrum meetings and talk about, ceremonies, things like this. I want to get them into a place where they're thinking about, I want them to feel like they actually on the job. And so, that was interesting, but then schedules got tight. And so we went back to more of a, just hand-holding exercises, make sure we answer questions. And some of the other interesting stuff that takes place in there is we talk what it's like to be Black men in this industry, or ethnic men, because Jay is Mexican in the industry. He's out of El Paso. And so a good deal of those conversations is just us talking through that type of thing. And then we shoot the shit, man, just like we do in the Sidechain sessions, man. Talk Game of Thrones or whatever.
It's probably why they take long as well. Do you guys go for so long as well?
Probably not that long, but I mean, I get off at 6, and so I give myself an hour between when I get off and when I hit the team up and whatnot. So it's like 7, and then we'll go to like, I don't know, 10. I mean, I'll leave sometimes, and I know dudes is in there till like 2 a.m. And then every now and again we play beats if ain't nobody got nothing technical. Like, yeah, man. Well, it's been pretty cool, man. A couple of the, I think everybody at this point now who came out of Matt's code group has jobs. And so RTO at this point is the only original guy who's not, but he's not pressed at this moment. You know what I mean? So he still has time to really solidify his skills. I think he's learning Angular at this point. Matt, the job, I want to say he's doing Ruby. I know that's what they tested him on, was Ruby. And he had never touched it before.
But it will be easy. Like if you know JS, it's actually easy to learn Ruby. Anything harder than Ruby is basically an easy job then.
Yeah, man.
I love Ruby.
Yeah, we tried to get it installed for him that night. I hadn't touched Ruby in forever, and the environment that I was working in when I got into Ruby, years and years ago, it was already set up for me. And so, you know, we was all bumping our heads for like 2 hours. But that's why they made him test in Ruby, is because it was so difficult. They gave him a week to get through this project. He did it and he landed the job, which was crazy to me. But he did it. And all told, I think it's been probably about 13, 14 months since we got started. So from I don't know nothing, 14 months later, you know, a job, which is dope, man. So shout out to
shout out to Matt, shout out to you guys. It's fucking amazing. It's absolutely astonishing. If you take the fact that this is just a group, basically a subgroup in a Discord, is how it started, and you being consistent about this is now like a real life thing, like a real life accomplishment.
Yeah, man. I just want to emphasize, man, like I know I brought these guys together, but like the learning that's occurring, and you know this, but I want everybody else to hear this. You know what I mean? The learning that's occurring, the accomplishments that's taking place, this is these dudes. You know what I'm saying? They did this, all of this. It's not us. We do what I would describe as just motivation and hand holding, like literally just trying to be guardrails for them. You know what I mean? And, you know, every now and again, it's like, you know, when the kids is learning how to play the piano and then the old lady is there with the stick hitting their hand being like, put your semicolon behind that statement. You know what I mean? That type of thing. But that's it.
Absolutely. Yeah, amazing. This is just amazing, man. Shout out to y'all.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
What's up for this year? Like, do you have now that we entered 23, do you do some sort of goal setting for a year, or some personal?
I'm not that formal, man. I'm not that formal with how I do things, bro. Like I probably should be more formal, but I kind of just trust my process for how I live. Excuse me. I got a few things I want to get into. You know, I need to get a little bit more healthy. You know what I'm saying, in terms of eating habits and shit like that. And I just had like a real old man moment the other day where I was like, I bent my knees and crouched and turned, and I did that shit too fast and like was down for like 2 days. And I was like, nah, I got to get back in the gym. So it's the, you know, I'm gonna tone down this drinking shit. Not that I'm like I have no problem with no shit like that. It's just time to not be having something to drink every day. You know what I'm saying? And then, I mean, I'm probably gonna end up getting my son this year. Whether that ends up being a peaceful exchange or a court battle, but it's going down. And then other than that, man, it's really just career stuff. Like this year with 7-Eleven has been pretty tumultuous, but I'm learning some shit about myself and about, you know, leadership in these corporations. Probably the biggest corporate environment that I've been in. But the goal here is to get this project that I'm working on completed and get some of my goals for how I want to impact this organization into place, solidly delivered, so that I can communicate that either at 7-Eleven or to whoever else might, you know, have an opportunity. So that's pretty much my year, man. And you know, besides that, I wanna actually finish up this project I've been working on, this little beat project I've been working on.
Oh, word.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's 3 goals. I counted right there. Got anything hilarious from the last year? Something shamefully hilarious? Ideally.
Hilarious. Oh man. Shamefully hilarious.
Something you were actually ashamed to tell, but it's hilarious.
Oh man. I'm sure there's something in there I'm ashamed of. I just don't know what yet. I think I already told you. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Like when I tell you the other day, bro, like I really literally just bent my knees and then barely turned my back this direction reaching down for something on the ground, bro. I was down. Like that shit took me out. Like I hit the ground, I rolled over, I winced in the most terrible way. My wife and my son was damn near in tears because of the pain I was in. Like they was both like eyes watering. Are you okay? I couldn't talk. Are you okay? The eyes is watering and shit. I just get up and I hobble into the room and I stay back there for like an hour because I'm fucked. It's bad, bro. Like I'm what you would call like my body. Like I'm like deceptively slim. I'm probably sitting at about 15-18% body fat, but like that I might as well be like 400 pounds. That's how unhealthy I am right now. You know what I mean? Or at least perceptively, that's how it feels to me. Like I'm skinny fat, if you could understand that. Which is not even like, and it's crazy. Like I'm not fat, but my body is performing like a person who is really, really in bad shape. So I'm getting my ass in the gym this year. Mm-hmm. And we're not going through that no more.
Yep. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you in there. Absolutely. I had a couple of those as well. Last year's. And then it takes painfully long to like, it doesn't take me out that much, but it takes like months to recover. And I'm actually thinking like, maybe I got some serious issue down there. No, it's just like missing muscles.
Just time, bro. It's just time. It's cruel. It's mean. And I just if I'm gonna be here, I don't want it to be like that.
And the tape, like you mentioned, the tape project.
Man.
How do you approach this? Is it
man,
like a collection or some concept?
I don't even know, man. I don't even know. When I caught the idea to do it, and it's probably been over a year since I decided, and I just been collecting my Dopest joints since about a year ago, and I'm gonna try and start getting a little bit more conceptual with what I want to do later. I've been thinking later, like a lot of these beats are beats that I would really love to rap to, so I'm wondering whether or not, I'm gonna get the motivation to actually bar up over all of them. I was thinking the other night, I'm washing dishes, I'm like, it would be dope to release, an album, you know what I mean, and then put the beats out as a separate album, you know what I'm saying, and have some kind of concept. But I don't know, man, I'm just kind of letting it be free form because I know I want to release something, but I just wanted to feel totally different than it did when I was doing music before. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be totally out of that mindset and release as it's time. Like, I want to feel like, okay, I gave birth to it, it's gone. Like, I want to be attached to it. Make sense?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm understanding the how you're saying you want to be detached. Like I don't understand the detached in terms of releasing. Like you.
All right, so let me go back and give you a little bit of context. When you rap for 20 years, you got to deal with all that shit. You know what I'm saying? You got to deal with all that shit. All that shit you did to your thinking, through them patterns, through all of that. You know what I'm saying? It's patterns of thought that you have to go into and explore and fucking cultivate like a crop. You get what I'm saying? And then when you harvest all that shit, it keep growing. And weeds be popping up all over the place mentally. You get what I'm saying? And so, part of my maturation process where that's been concerned is to like prune all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm trying to make sure that when I'm releasing things, whether it's a beat or a record or lyrics or a spoken word piece or whatever, that it's coming from places where I don't mind that shit growing in my thinking. You know what I'm saying? Because when I say detach, I think what I'm saying is I want to be able to put it out knowing I'm not going to have a fucking mental fight to deal with because I released it later on down the line. You get what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, get it.
Yeah, man. It's just a maturation process.
Uh-huh. And how far are you? Like, is it the concept for the year, or you're halfway through?
I think I got a solid, like, I got a solid sound and a solid, like, collection of joints that I can start fucking around with. I think there's a couple other places I want to go. And then, you know, once I'm satisfied that I've gotten there, then I'm probably going to really sit down, you know, conceptually and start talking, what does this look like? Like, what type of visuals, what type of, you know what I mean? Like, what types of bars, what types of subject matter, you know, who is this even? You know what I mean? Am I this, like, is this a Dow Jonez project? Is this, you know, what I want this to be? So, but that, you know, again, man, like, I'm not putting myself under any pressure. If I don't do this shit for like 5 years, like, if it don't get done for 5 years, I'm okay. Because for me, it's more, number one, I don't be having time to actually put into it like I like to, you know what I mean? And so it's necessary. But then number two, like, it's catharsis for me. Like, it genuinely is a way to not go out in the world and do stupid shit and give in to my ego and have me doing wild shit, cheating on my wife, and, you know what I mean? Like, fucking gambling and all of the other crazy shit that come at this point in a person's life when identity is switching from, you know, youthful to, you know, in this late life. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at, man.
Where would you say is this follow your passion advice that everybody gets, and is actually, like, I can understand this to an extent, but then there is reality. Then there is the real world where there is so much room for the super successful artists, and there's so much demand for such thing, actually. Like, if we are all super artists, who will be doing all the other stuff?
Yeah, man, it's deep. You know what I'm saying? It's deep. It's like, you got to examine what your passion is. You know what I'm saying? I'm blessed, bro. Like, I have to believe in God. You know what I'm saying? I have to, because I tell people all the time, bro, I fell downstairs, I landed on the top floor. For my life, like, it might not be the top floor for somebody else's life, but I know what the fuck I grew up watching. I know, you know what I mean? Like, how I saw the world unfold. And for me to end up here in this position is fucking crazy. Because really, all I had was oversized ego for no reason at all. It wasn't like the world was running around telling me, hey, you the most amazing motherfucker on the planet. But I caused myself somehow to believe that motherfuckers was always telling me that I talk too much as a kid. I remember that shit. They was, you talk too much, you talk too much, you talk too much. And, you know, I figured I finagle that shit into, you know, into some music. And, you know, I chased it and I chased it and I chased it. And then I hit this spot right after I hit 30 where I was like, yo, what are you really out here doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you saying? What is this about? And then that's when I started to really grapple with all that shit. And it's not to say that I'm embarrassed of that period of my life or the products that came out of it. Some of that shit sound dated as hell, but like, other than that, I'm happy with the content, except I didn't have a proper orientation mentally to what I was putting out, to what I was actually saying, in order to shape it right. And so I think that came from wanting adulation for the art. And so it caused me to start saying, you know, take that shit out of the equation, and then what do you get left? Now your filter is more tight. Now less thoughts get through. You get less temptation to say stupid shit. You know what I'm saying? You get less temptation to say the thing that's meant for somebody's recognition, and you get more incentive to go within yourself and say the thing that you need to fucking hear, which means you got to go looking for it because you don't always know what that is, which means you have to grow as a part of your artistic process, which means you become a better person out of this process. Sorry. And, you know, if I get through with this shit and I listen to it and it's not one of them things where it's like, oh no, that's way too naked, then I'm gonna let people have it. And if I get to the end of that shit and it's just me in a room crying, listening to this shit or laughing or whatever the hell I'm doing, punching holes in the wall, whatever the fuck it is, like, then it's just gonna be me and I'm gonna be all right with that. And I'm talking about it's $15,000 worth of shit in this room and I don't give a fuck if nobody ever hear this shit or not. This is literally so I don't go fucking nuts. I hope that makes sense.
It's absolutely there. Like, this is how I feel about this one joint that you played in the beginning of the year. This one video, you know, the joint. Like I super dope. And people I played it to, like I played it to a couple of homies here in Germany. Like it resonates so much. It's like, yeah,
man, that record is it comes from that place. And, you know, I'll share it with you, bro. Like, when I wrote that joint, my brother-in-law hit me up and was like, he played me this record and it was
a country song, right?
No, not that one. Not that one. I mean, that song was sampled from a country record, but and it was probably a folk record to be more accurate. But my brother-in-law had hit me up with this Dave East record, and I think it's called 17. He's just talking about all this wild shit he was doing when he was 17. And I was just in my feelings at that moment because my nieces were around that age during that period. And I ain't gonna lie, I ain't even talk to him about this shit. He probably gonna see this interview and then we're gonna kind of have a conversation. But I was in my feelings about the shit because I didn't want to hear nothing about no young nigga wilding at 17 years old at that moment. I wanted, you know what I mean? I wanted for us to be doing what we needed to be doing by my niece. And so when I wrote that verse, it was like I was literally walking my dog and that first shit came to my head, 39 going on 50, feel like the whole world broke. I just wanted to be honest about how, like, nigga, this shit ain't glamorous. You know what I'm saying? This shit is a grind. This shit is dirty and it's nasty. And, you know, to come out of it with a modicum of hope and peace is fucking amazing. Like, and so I just wanted to talk about all that shit I went through. You know what I'm saying? And contrast that to this self-aggrandizing concept of I'm 17 and look at all these bitches I'm fucking and look at all this money I got and I'll shoot your ass and all that stupid shit. So, yeah, sorry. But look, let me answer your question though, man, because you asked me about the whole follow your dream shit. So earlier I said I'm blessed, and I walked you through what it was like me doing this music shit for all that time. At the same time, though, I'm working my ass off. Like I have a job out to this bitch. Like, and I was landing pretty decent jobs, you know what I'm saying, for the time. I was getting paid on the top of low labor wage, you know, wages, you know what I'm saying, back in that period from like 99 to like 2005, 2006. And, you know, I just hustled to make sure I had a way to feed myself, but I was also doing the music thing. And then it just so happened that one of my partners, man, we had fell out and he hit me up out of nowhere because I had been doing freelance development work. Mm-hmm. And I had no idea that it was viable for me to apply for a job nowhere. But he hit me up. He was like, man, what you doing for work? Hadn't talked to him in like a year. Last time I saw him, we literally fist fought. I'm 26 years old fighting one of my best friends. Stupid shit. And he hit me up and he's like, hey man, my job is hiring. It was Verizon. And I applied to that shit and I interviewed and I got the job. And it was a contract job. That shit was paying like $18.50 an hour to do very rudimentary like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Flash development. And I took it. And that was the start of it. And then right at that exact same moment, my ex got pregnant. And so that's where the transition started to happen with the music. Ironically, some of the craziest shit in my career around music started to happen during that period as well. This is where the Drake feature came from. It's right during that same period. And so as I'm like transitioning into this career, it's starting to look like the things around me, the people around me are the people who are out here now. You know what I'm saying? Like the ones that's been killing shit on the production side and in music, these motherfuckers was right next to my run back 2006, 7, 8. And so I say all that to say this. I follow my passion, bro, but like I looked a couple of different places. I looked for where am I actually gonna eat, number one. And then I followed the paths that got laid out for me based on my research there. And that shit started out as odd jobs, but then it ended in a career in software engineering. And it was because I was doing all I could to get my music off the ground and applying myself to my passion. And so the path came from that, but it didn't end up being music. The flip side of that shit is that I still do music in a more satisfying way than I ever did when I was chasing it for adulation. And I can eat, you know what I'm saying? Probably, no bullshit, because I wasn't going to compromise. I was never going to be a commercial success. It just wasn't going to happen for me because of who I am. And I'm probably making what I probably would have made out there doing music for real. Like you had that first little couple years when you popping, and after that you go into fucking obscurity making, whatever you making.
Yeah, having a label and such, isn't it? Like this is the
what I mean? Like
if you're
I'm probably living an underground rapper's life. You know what I mean? In terms of finances. So like I'm not tripping at all.
It's like just way more secure though. Than being 100% just underground doing gigs. I would imagine it's actually like obviously it is a lot more money in the job you're doing now compared to like doing a rare gig. Even like I don't know how many gigs, how much do you have to play to have like a comfortable level of living?
I mean, I can't even say, man, because like the whole money for doing shows shit never was a part of my run for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking what it would have looked like if I'd have been out here selling 10, 15,000 records. You know what I'm saying? 10, 15, 20,000 records with a cult following type shit. That's probably where I was going to end up. You know what I'm saying? If I keep it honest with myself, that probably was the height of where I was going to go. And I'm better for having gone this route just based on the fact that I have a skill that can't nobody take from me, and I'm not dependent upon whether somebody's fucking with my latest creative endeavor, And then on top of that, like I think I got a more healthy relationship to what I'm creating now because I'm not thinking about it from that perspective. But this a 42-year-old man talking to me and my 22-year-old self sitting here having the same conversation, my nigga, it is totally different. So
do you think it became easier like is an artist career easier today with the tools and the social media and all that?
I don't know, man. I don't know. And part of the reason I don't know is because I was doing all the shit that they doing right now then. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they have a more amplified platform because it reaches more people. But shit, I was definitely on Black Planet, you know what I'm saying, in 2000, 2001 with mixtapes and, freestyles. And I mean, the internet was my vehicle, which is why I'm in software. You know what I'm saying? Because as soon as I ran to the music and I had it, I'm like, well, fuck. You know what I'm saying? How do I get this to people? I'm in Sam Goody. I'm looking at the local rappers. I don't know if you know what this looked like back then, bro, but like local rap used to look crazy. Like the graphics was horrible. The photography was horrible. The illustration was bad. The logos was fucking awful. Like when I'm looking at that shit and I'm fresh out of high school with all of this zeal and motivation, and then on top of that, I'm hella creative, and I'm one of these kids that grew up, watching anime and fucking playing video games and all this type of shit. I can draw. Fuck that. I know what a composition look like. I can like take the rule of thirds and make an image and have an album cover that motherfuckers will buy off the strength that it's a local album and the album cover look good, because that's what it was like in 99. If you walking through the CD store, niggas was buying CDs of people they ain't never heard before because we bought music like that, because the album cover was fire. And so just developing all those skills is what allowed me to chase my passion. And I'm one of the lucky people, bro, who I feel like found like a path out of that shit into an actual career. And I think it's probably hundreds of those careers, bro. And so I tell people all the time, man, follow your passion. Just make sure you listen to the omens. You know what I'm saying? You got to pay attention to the road you're walking on. You can't keep walking down a fucking flooded street, my nigga. Like you gotta turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And talking about some music and skills, like what was the last thing you learned? The most recent music acquired skill?
Music that I learned? Man, probably Koala.
Mm-hmm. You spent some time with the iPad?
Yeah, man. So I've been trying to be more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like diligent about forcing some sort of creativity out of myself when I'm, in these work runs that don't allow me really to get into my main process. My main process is hours, but like I might spend a week working on the same joint when I'm really into it, that type of shit. Like I don't just spit shit out. And so I've been doing a couple things. Like I'll come up here and make, if I'm going to drum, then I'll plug the iPad up, you know what I'm saying, and run through Aria Pro on the iPad. And I got a little Scarlett over here, and I got the drum set mic'd up, and I'll just drum into that shit like drums be doing, right? Mm-hmm. And then I'll clip the parts that are breakable, you know what I'm saying? And then throw them to my phone. And then when I'm running around, you know what I'm saying? If I got 10 minutes, you know what I'm saying? If I'm sitting down at lunch and I'm by myself, that type of shit, or if I'm, dropping a deuce or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll whip the phone out, and instead of fucking hitting Instagram or some shit like that, then I'll start fucking around with a little break, you know what I'm saying? And put that bitch back in my pocket. And then later, when I get a chance to really flesh that idea out, then I'll bring it back to the studio into the whole process and bring it into a whole composition. So yeah, Koala's been pretty cool for that.
How do you go about this organization of stuff? Like now that you say you bring the files over, do you have some organization to the chaos of audio files? And I
got a folder structure that I set up, and it's all Google Drive. So I kick everything up to Google Drive, and so when I get finished with something, it's immediately available everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And so if I export from Koala, or if I export from Aria Pro, you know what I'm saying, then I just go sit down at the computer and then that is synced. So I just pull it up and I'm ready to go.
Okay, fair enough. Because I have like the iCloud part, the local parts on the MP. That's actually that, but it's two huge independent libraries that are kind of synced. Way too much stuff. My biggest issue is like I can't remember all the stuff that I have. So if I'm not fast enough with incorporating shit, it's in there somewhere.
Yeah, man, that sounds like a really interesting problem to solve with maybe like an aggregation algorithm. You know what I'm saying? Where you run a cron job once a month to go looking for all the shit that you ain't touched in a while, and go through it, and find a use for it. That type of shit.
Do you have like, what is your tip on online machine learning, free online machine learning platforms to
Do I
send
have
your data through?
an opinion? Is that what you're asking? Do I have an opinion on machine learning?
Well, if you know one that is free, drop the link.
Oh no,
and
no.
I'm sure the opinion for that as well.
Oh yeah. No, I don't know of any platforms that handle that. That's why I was saying, like, that sounds like an interesting problem to solve. That's like a tool you throw in the Ableton and they pay your ass, cool $5 million for developing it. That type of shit. Don't put this online. You gotta cut this part.
Like, you think really big. It's so interesting about you that you make, like, I think about like application. How do I get this working on my computer? Like, where do I feed my data to? Like, where do I send my timestamps? You're thinking about the actual thing. Like, it's just amazing.
I don't know, man. When I think about problems and how they can be solved, if they aren't currently being solved, I see an opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
To make life easier and to make some bread. I hadn't yet had the opportunity to turn any of that shit into my own, brainchild. What do you call that shit? Dude, let me get my dog out of here. He's but yeah. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to turn these patterns that we have, all of them, bro. Like, everything from production to, how do we maximize the amount of time that every young Black professional has to mentor? That type of shit. Like, all of these problems get solved somewhere, and then somebody productizes this shit and then pushes it in your face, and now this is amazing. Wow, you got to get active. And so, I don't know, no bullshit. That part of my thinking is Pan-Africanism, bro. That's Dr. Amos Wilson. That's Juwanza Kanjufu. That's Dr. Naeem Akbar. That's Marcus Garvey. Like, when I see a problem, I'm trying to figure out how to fix that shit. And because of the fact that I know software engineering, my mind defaults to the software-enabled solution.
Solutions. And what do you think, how will AI impact this? How will AI change this?
Man, AI, AI is a deep hole to think about. But I'm gonna keep it light. I think that AI is going to enable humans. You know how they say, well, shit, I don't know. That might have been a bad analogy, but I tell people all the time, marriage enriches life, right? Like, people think marriage makes life better. That's what they thinking when they got the googly eyes and shit. Marriage does not make life better alone. Marriage makes life better, and marriage makes life worse. And you deal with all of it. You get what I'm saying? And so you get as far better as it goes that worse. It goes that far in the other direction too. It expands life. It enriches life on both ends of the spectrum. And I think AI is going to do that with humanity. AI is going to do that with life in and of itself. Like, it might surpass humanity in terms of, how it's impacting the world. And I think that there are tons of ways that it's going to be good. And I think there are tons of ways that it's going to be fucking crazy. And, being a Black man, having the relationship that Black people have to technology and to economy and to nations and to the world, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. AI is scary as shit to me, because I can see further than most of us can in terms of what it's doing in the world today. I can imagine further than most of us can in terms of where it's gonna go.
Mhm.
And then I'm talking to us on a day-to-day basis, and I'm trying to, just make myself aware of how much they know, the people I'm coming into contact with, and it's I feel like Noah. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I'm telling, hey, a flood is coming, and we gotta become literate in this space, and it has to be now, or it's all the consequences that we face because we've been in a position that we've been in for the last however many thousand years. They're gonna get worse. You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna get better, but what we've been hoping for consciously and loudly for the last 50, 60 years is going to become harder for us to make happen for ourselves. That's not to say that the world don't make AI that is, capable of delivering us from the shit that we in, but I don't trust that. I want us to deliver us from the shit we in. You understand what I'm saying? And put ourselves economically in a position to where we're viable and things of this nature. It's getting to a point now to where, economically, you're about to not be able to compete if you're not in this space. It's about to invade every aspect of human life. It's about to get rid of secretaries. It's about to get rid of project managers. It's about to get rid of coders, ChatGPT. It's about to get rid of a whole bunch of shit. And I just don't think that many people understand what's happening. And so, for that purpose, again, I'm out here evangelizing that we learn. And I'm trying to take the opportunities again where I can to identify problems, and I'm waiting on God to inspire me toward a solution. And I think that'll happen.
And what would you say, therefore, is like the most important skill to acquire with all that you've just said?
Man, critical thinking skills. You know what I'm saying? Critical thinking skills and abstract thought in general. Because, it's one thing to interface with the technology. It's another thing to understand how deeply embedded into nature this shit is now. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be able to see technology and understand the natural and the spiritual implications of what's taking place with this software, with the infrastructure, with these networks. You know what I'm saying? I imagine not many people have seen a diagram of what the internet physically looks like. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so if you show them that, they are immediately changed, like almost the same way you're changed when somebody tells you there's more stars in the sky than it is grains of sand on the ground in the earth. And you're like, what the fuck? No, what the fuck? It's like 16 stars up there. And then, they explain to you, it's more than you can see, and it's infinite. It's literally spaces that big. In that moment, you become smaller than you ever imagined you could be, and all of a sudden the oceans and all of the water on Earth now to you feel like a fucking drop of rain, that type of thing. And your mind has to expand. The first thing you got to do is get to a place where you can interface with the world in a way that's looking for that information. You got to develop a palette for it and be able to internalize that shit. And from there, I think you can, because of the fact that you've been impacted in that way, now you can absorb all that's necessary for you to learn in terms of, how to code or how to engineer hardware or, all of the other skills that are necessary. So for me, it's more abstract. It's less about which direction you go. It's more about understanding the physics, you know what I'm saying? And how this is actually ingrained in the world. Stop driving past cell phone towers and not understanding what that shit is. Like that type of shit. Like think about the processes that are going on invisibly around you on a day-to-day basis. That type of shit.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. That's cool. I agree. Hear about this blue sky thing that the Twitter guy started?
No.
Super interesting concept. I was actually like interested in what you think about this. So they proposed a decentralized concept for a network where one part of it is the decoupled identity entity, so to say. So your identity is something you take from one place to another. Like if you go to the YouTube there, you take your identity there, but you didn't take it out if you don't want to be there anymore. And the second one was democratized algorithms, meaning you determine which one you pick, and they will probably be mostly open sourced or something like where you can actually see what the thing does and probably, update it or take some community version of it, stuff like that. So basically let you determine which algorithms and will filter your feed basically in the spaces. The third one, I can't remember. It's probably decentralized, like peer-to-peer. Blockchain. I think was it blockchain something. Kind of need to look it up. And I was super interested in that because it actually, that's the first thing that I've heard recently that makes sense to me in terms of this is going to change the technology, not just be another platform, be another outlet, but a fundamentally different approach to how internet works. Internet is a great place, but it has a few flaws that make it hard to pull off simple stuff you release the track and then get royalties forever by not doing anything. It's just it's tracked. Somebody downloaded and repurposed it. It's tracked. It's just tracked because this and that. What do you think will change the technology of the internet in the next 5 to 10 years?
What do I think will change the internet 5 to 10 years? Machine learning is obviously on the rise. It's responsible for all these art generators and what's taking place with that. Some of these debates that are happening behind art. And I heard somebody entered into an art contest with computer generated art and won it, and then announced after the fact that all these humans were competing against an algorithm. And it's tripped out to me that there are people who are arguing that it's not a problem, it's not. And I'm like, have you ever, these people who say shit like this, I'm like, have you ever drawn, have you ever sat down next to a picture of a face and tried to draw it? You know what I'm saying? I do this, you know what I'm saying? The work that goes into shaping your mind to these processes, to identifying the processes, and trial and error, the hours and hours and hours. The finished result, okay, this looks better, great, but it's just crazy to me that there are people who think that these two concepts should be allowed to be compared in the same space. And so the fact that debate is happening right now, and there's a lot of people screaming to say that, it should be allowed to happen, lets me know how big a deal even some of the shit that's already here is going to be. But I want to go back to what you was just saying about this blue sky thing. Democratized algorithms, my mind went to I started doing that shit where I'm scaffolding solutions and shit. And I'm like, that's a dope ass concept. The thing that immediately comes to mind after I get excited about it, though, is that we got democratized government, and then you got people who are detached from the political process completely. You know what I'm saying? I have to say it with some guilt, but also with some comfort that I am completely detached right now politically. So now I'm thinking, I'm someone who has years and years in the software industry, and I understand concepts that the excuse me, that the layperson doesn't. And so I can go and I can be told what the implications of this algorithm is versus the other, and I can make an informed decision that's going to be a bit better off than most people. And I'm thinking about how much public education is there going to need to be in order for that not to be a farce, and then how willing are the public going to be willing, you know what I'm saying, to get into that process and become. So my mind says, what's the solution to that? Like, how do you actually evangelize once this gets popping? How do you evangelize getting people into that process and making them aware so that somebody's not just showing up and doing the same thing on a political stump where they're saying our algorithm does blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? And then you find out 10 months later that it was all types of wild shit going on and everybody's private shit is out in the world. So do we get closer to enabling that, or how does it work? It just, again, it's one of those things where it's likely going to expand. Like, you're going to get orders of magnitude more better patterns out of how the internet works today. But then on the opposite end of that spectrum, it's probably going to get just as worse. You know what I'm saying? And it's just a matter of staying diligent. You know what I'm saying? Everybody who has the mindset to understand that. But I think that's dope, though. And I would much rather be there than here, because you got more control if you're willing to be aware.
Yeah, I'm interested in how this plays out. I see it would be dope to see something happening soon there. It would also be dope to have blockchain integrated in governmental institutions, in law passing, in accounting, taxes. All of that can be switched, and then it's transparent. Obviously, though, we need to figure out how to regulate and recognize fraud quicker. But AI, again, it's just a matter of AI understanding how to recognize fraud real quick, and then we should be good. It's that vicious circle.
It's coming, man. It's coming. I don't think there's anything we can do about it at this point, except get in it and contribute. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm excited about the parts of that sound positive to me. That's actually dope. I'm gonna go do some reading on it. I wish I had more insight.
There is not much on their official website. It's, I think, Blue Sky. I think it is.
Cool.
Okay, interesting stuff. What's the most unexpected recent plugin of your liking? Like anything that you like?
Recent plugin. It ain't really recent. But I've been using this maximizer called Maximal. I think it's made by Basingo. Actually, no, it's not. Who makes this damn plugin? I'm sorry, I gotta look it up, man. But yeah, now it's a maximizer or a limiter, but it's pretty cool, man. It I throw it on my master chain, and it don't do a whole lot in terms of the sound, but it's just real easy to get the levels I want without harming anything.
Super interesting, because it's actually I was thinking about this, and it's limiter for me as well. It's EQ, and if it were two plugins, it would be EQ and limiter. The Fab Filter joins. Probably the most used things last year, easily.
I have ProQ from Fab Filter. I don't have any other stuff. I've been wanting to look at their compressor and their saturator, Saturn, I think is the name of it. So what, you have all of it?
Yep, the iPad suite though. So not the desktop versions, but the iPad versions, which is cool enough for me.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up, man. I hadn't messed around with any of those other joints, but I've been real curious about them. I watched they have some real interesting breakdowns on their plugins and some of these concepts on YouTube. I watched one about Saturn that talked about oversampling and saturation and the difference in how it works and some of these other ones work. And I was like, damn, this is a lot of concepts. I'm gonna have to wait until I really get another run where I'm really, really focused on the music to get deep, but I'm definitely going there with those. Yeah.
And the 3 Dead Island yeah, let's call it Dead Island items. The 3 items you would take to a dead island.
Me, the 3 items I would take to a dead island. Wow. Shit. I have never thought this about something like this. 3 items I'm taking to a dead island. What do you mean when you say a dead island? You mean it ain't no vegetation?
Well, it's like a lonely place
where
you're going to die at some point. Like the last place. I think that's the distinction to the desert island, where chances are still that you are being rescued at some point.
I'm definitely taking a machete.
Right.
Taking a machete. I'm probably taking a maybe not even a machete. I'm probably taking me a katana blade or some shit, and a flint, and I don't know, maybe like 1,000 feet of rope or something. You know what I mean?
I see you're thinking of survival.
Yeah, no, that's really what's going down. You know what I mean? If I'm a die there, I want to be laying in a hammock. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and who would play the funeral?
You said who would play the funeral? My funeral? Ooh, shit, man. Who would play?
Can be living or dead. Like, doesn't matter.
Give me a second, man. I need to go to I don't know this dude's name. What's his cousin's name? George Nascimento. Excuse me. George Nascimento. It's a particular song too.
I gotta look it up.
And this guy, Buddy has like, I'll send you a link, bro. But it's just this piano music, man. It speaks, it's this real, I don't know, man. Like for me, it's a thought-provoking song. You ever heard music that make you equally happy and equally fucked up, like at the same time? You know what I'm saying? So you sitting there, you don't know why the fuck you happy, but you're happy, but then you also feel like fucking crying. Like,
it's called saudade in Portuguese. In Portugal, there is a dedicated word for this feeling of being equally sad and happy.
Yeah, nah, like it's one of them things, bro. Like it's like ethereal, where you slide from like all the way from the most high, like emotional shit, where you grateful for my grandma, that type of shit. And then while the song is playing, I'm going back and forth between all that crazy shit. It just make me think about life. That's what I want played at my funeral. I don't want nobody to talk. I don't need a eulogy or none of that shit. Just play the record. You know what I'm saying? And y'all go eat ribs or something.
I feel that. Yeah, absolutely. I'd actually like to have a wild party. Like I need to make sure that this is in paper, that people have like a fucking party. Gotta figure out who'll be like actually playing, because I want people to be fucked up in this way. Oh yeah, need to go hard today. It's in his will.
Yeah, you're gonna have to motivate that. Yeah, I think my people know that I'm not like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm a little bit morbid, because like I don't know if it comes from me being brought up Christian. We was young. We was always told, Christians don't have no fear of death. And my mom was always talking about what, because I'm the oldest. She was like, when I go, I'm leaving my, insurance payout to you, and you're gonna divide it amongst your sisters and brothers and all this type of shit. So like now I'm just in one of them spots where, well, not one of them spots. I've been here probably for my whole adult life, that I think death is a gift. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think death is as big a gift as life is. And like, for me, the only inconvenience of it is, fuck, man, I was really looking forward to next year. But fuck it, all right, come on. You know what I'm saying? let's take it. I don't want to suffer and go through a whole bunch of pain and no shit like that. But I just don't. I'm not one of the people that's married to being here, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I think the people who know me well enough are going to, they're really going to celebrate when I leave here. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they don't, they really wasn't close to me. You get what I'm saying? Like, if they really just was fucked up, it's like, why you like that? Because he wasn't even really like that for real. Why you tripping? So yeah.
I feel that. Definitely. It's like actually, yeah, very close. To what I think is like way too overrated. Like this like the longer, if I look at people with 90, the grandma of my wife, she's 90 and absolutely clear in her head. Like, bless that woman, she is absolutely amazing. But I still wouldn't like. I don't know how to feel about this. I don't want to be that. To be honest with you, I don't know. What am I doing here? Would be my question every day.
Bro,
like, just
my grandmother
tired.
My grandmother is 102 years old, bro. This year she'll be 102. And I cannot imagine it, bro. Like you have to think about this, bro. My grandmother was born the same year, or I can't remember if Black Wall Street happened in 1920 or 1922, right? But she's born when that shit happens. You gotta think that she wasn't in motherfucking Greenwood District, Tulsa, Oklahoma. She was in Jones, which was sticks, and they didn't have running water in the house. And motherfucking, they had a well outside. They didn't have indoor plumbing, my G. They didn't have a refrigerator. They had dry ice in a big ass wood box. There was no telephone in the house. There was no, I don't know if they had electricity, this type of shit. And we talking about, she is 102 years old. You come all the way from when she's a child to now. We talking about, she was shocked when you could use a phone and talk to somebody who wasn't there. Now, she got to deal with talking to a person that don't exist. She can't even grasp this shit. It's not, if I go in my grandmama's house and tell her what AI is, she's 30 years past the time where she ever could give a fuck, and it's more consequential to life than she could ever imagine. And it's like, I don't want to be here when the world is going that far past me. What is my usefulness other than being some kind of figurehead to my family? And I love y'all, but I don't love y'all that much. I'm leaving. I'm not doing this shit. I'm gonna have increasingly more dangerous shit on my bucket list after I hit 70. We gotta hasten this process.
I like it. I love it. What's the next thing everybody should do?
What's the next thing everybody should do?
Or people you care about?
Oh, man. Look at the problem you've been avoiding. Hard, slow, focus. And if you don't come up with a solution, then write that shit down, everything you thought about, and then wake up tomorrow and look at that problem again and do the same shit over again using them thoughts that you had yesterday until you come up with a solution that you can fucking try and utilize to solve it, however small, however big. Otherwise, that shit just piles up, and then you end up with a whole bunch of problems that you probably could have got solved that you don't solve, and that includes me.
Includes me too. I think it's actually a great regular exercise. We shouldn't forget there is always a little problem somewhere. Specifically
the ones you've been avoiding, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Specifically the ones you've been avoiding. Because if you don't go through the exercise of figuring out the solution, then you leave that thing ambiguous in your head, and it may be a bigger problem than it takes you to solve it. You know what I'm saying? And because you didn't think it through, you didn't go through the exercise of thinking it through. That's probably the hardest part for a lot of it, is thinking it through. You get through with that shit, now it's time to execute, and the execution is just following the steps that came from the thinking. So it's like, maybe I should have said, just think. You know what I mean? Just think a little bit more. And that's what I'm noticing, bro. Like when I look up and my room is dirty, like my studio space is dirty, like shit all over the place. It's because I just been walking past shit every day. When I could have just picked that shit up when I was walking out. Like, and it's the same thing with your finances. It's the same thing with your housework, with the baseboard downstairs and the fucking wood pieces that need to be ripped up. I could fucking on a Saturday just go down there and, and take an hour and a half and $45 and replace the boards. But it ain't been done because I ain't thinking through. You get what I'm saying? Like, stop ignoring shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Dope. That's a dope end to a conversation. I thank you so much.
For sure, man.
Absolutely amazing.
Absolutely, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm always open to it. I appreciate you for having me, my guy. Let me before we hop off here, boy. So let me say this before we hop off here, bro. Like, I feel like we kind of kindred spirits in the fact that, dude, I can tell you're passionate for humanity, and like, I'm curious how many people told you when you was a kid, you talk too much. Like when I was saying earlier, motherfuckers was telling me that all the goddamn time.
They still tell me I talk too much, like everybody
Bro,
that know me. My wife daily.
Bro, in that way, and then a whole bunch of other ones. I feel like we brethren, bro. I just wanted to let you know I understand that aspect of who you are, and I appreciate that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I feel that. I felt it when you told me the story from it. Shit, yeah, I remember that as well.
Yeah, man. It's just about having a positive outlet, bro. And I appreciate you for what you do and what you bring to the group. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to Sidechain. It's been an incredible journey so far.
Yeah. Hands down, one of the dopest things I've paid for in my life on a monthly basis. No bullshit. You know what I'm saying? It's I hadn't been a part of something like this for as long, and I'm not even really getting a chance to spend a whole bunch of time in it like I'd like to. But the connections that I made, like, some of these connections I'm sure will last my life. You know what I mean? In one form or another, that type thing. So I'm greatly appreciative of Drums for putting this shit together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Having all these, like, having the whole group as well is, like, knowing all these people makes me a happy person. let's put it like this. It's just, it blows my mind. It'll blow my mind.
Yeah, man. Dope shit.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. You are having an evening? Yeah, it's probably like...
It's 3:25, man. I'm about to throw my project into NX, into a mono repo for work, and then get started back on that so I can go in prepared tomorrow, man. So I'm going to sit the rest of this little crown and eat something and go back to work, bro.
All right. Sounds good.
Already, bro.
Take care of yourself. I see you on Thursday. Probably.
Yeah, man. All right, man. Be good.
Right.
Peace.
Peace.
And being broke without an address, a mesh bag and some bad breath, a stretch rash and an abscess, trying to stretch cash till I cash checks, absent capital assets, accent that with a mass threats, back 10 pack, then a lack fresh, 5 deep circle in Glendale, and she let me dive in that cat print, then I won't feel as if I'm in hell. Hey, me, I never even had sex, I was 17, to go back there, I give up everything with an asterisk, the cemetery scenes through the mattress, to my every dream, it's a carry scene, it's embarrassing, every aspect is Jerry Springer shit, it's got me past vexed, I'm about to catch wreck, where's the kerosene, I'm about to set a flame,